Fantastic. Give yourselves a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our final session of the GDHF conference. We are starting with a very short energizer activity as promised. It'll be very quick, but you'll really need to focus. And if you can focus on this, you can focus on anything. So there are going to be 4 commands that I'm going to give you. Point forward. Everybody please point forward. Point forward. Point back. Look right. And look left. So those are the 4 instructions you need to remember for the sake of this. This first round, what we're going to do, I am going to give you the command. I want you all to repeat the command and do the action. So if I say point forward, you should all say point forward and point forward. Does that make sense? All right, point forward. Point back. Look right. Look right. Point forward. Point back, look left, look right, point back, and point forward. Fantastic, well done. Wait, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. That was round 1. Round 2, say what I tell you to do, but do the opposite. So, if I say point forward, you should say point forward, but you should actually. All right. Are you ready? Look right. Look left. Point forward. Point back. Look right. Look left. Point forward. Look right. Okay, all right. Good stuff. Now, as a final one, now I want you to say the opposite of what I say, but do what I tell you to do. Look, this ruins my head as well, just giving the instructions, so I don't know how you're managing it. Okay, are we all together on that? So what are you going to do? You're going to say the opposite, but you'll do what I actually tell you to do. Look right. I'll have you know, and I wouldn't mention his name, but Dr. Frank Smith, business and strategy lead at Transform Health, I'm not mentioning his name, actually pointed when I said look. Okay. We'll do it one more time. So remember, we are saying the opposite, but doing the actual action. Point back. Look right. Look left. Look forward. Point backwards. All right, give yourselves a round of applause and please take your seats. Thank you very much. That exercise was very intentional. I believe all of us here are digital health enthusiasts, champions, transformers, innovators, and in the beginning, it's very easy. You point forward, everybody's pointing forward. And it gets to a point where the instructions are all muddled up. Stakeholders want this, and beneficiaries need that, and donors want this, and everything is confused. But the fact that you managed to get through that, smiling, laughing, willing to give it another go, means that we have achieved the purpose of GDHF 2025. That you can come through and think of all the challenges you have around pushing our global health initiative forward, but still coming through with all the cloudiness and coming forward and continuing to do the work that you do. So give yourselves a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for that fantastic effort. And with that same energy and significantly less confusion, we are going to move into our closing plenary panel discussion, which is going to be about the roadmap to 2030, health for all in the digital age, brought to us by our good friends at Transform Health. The gentleman who is going to start us off for this discussion is Dr. Frank Smith, who is the Strategy and Business Development Lead at Transform Health. Over 25 years in health development, previous roles, senior roles at World Vision, Amnesty, Oxfam, and he's also a frequent visitor to Kenya, first coming in 2002 and coming frequently. So not only do I want you to model what he is going to talk about, but also the fact that he kept coming to Kenya all those years. I want you to keep coming to visit us, and let's give him a GDHF 2025 vocalized, extremely loud round of applause as he comes forward and takes us off. Over to you, Frank.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be opening this closing plenary. So my name is Frank Smith. I work at Transform Health. We're a coalition of over 200 organizations work from across 60 countries, working on creating an enabling environment for digital transformation of health to achieve and accelerate universal health coverage by 2030. We are here today to sort of present to you the roadmap to 2030, an initiative that we're very proud of. We've been working with our partners across all our different sort of partner organizations, and we'll be hearing from some of those in the panel over the coming session. Now, the other thing that I'd like to say is that we're all here focusing on digital health, but we're focusing on digital health for a reason. Not because we love digital health, but we do, of course, but also we want to make an impact on the lives of some of the people that are hardest to reach and that are not being benefiting from health coverage at the moment. And I think we have 5 more years left of the Sustainable Development Goals. We are far behind on that mission. Over 1 billion people are still facing catastrophic out-of-pocket expenses as a result of not being able to access the services they need. And we feel that digital health is a solution to that problem. And we want to work with you together to ensure that over the next 5 years we can collaborate and really achieve some of the gains that we know are possible through digital health. Sorry, I should have... So, for those of you who've come to see Matilde, I'm very sorry. I feel like you've paid to see Shakira and you're seeing the tribute act. But I hope that I can do justice to the issue. So, the roadmap, what is it? The roadmap is, and why do we need it now? Why another roadmap, I hear many of you say? Well, the roadmap is a process that we want to sort of table and put on the, to help focus attention. It's a plan of action that we've developed with our partners to help accelerate progress towards universal health coverage, to ensure that rather than working in our discrete areas, we can all work as part of a larger mission and mandate to really accelerate the digital transformation of health systems, focusing very much on that issue that we know now is so important but may have been neglected for many years, that enabling environment. The policies, the legislation, the political leadership and commitment, the funding and the resources that enable us in the technical sphere to be able to do what we do best and be supported to do it. So why now? Progress towards UHC is stalling, digital transformation is advancing but unevenly, and we want to ensure that it is a solution to the equity, the health equity gap, rather than an accelerator of inequity. People remain excluded, and people need to be at the center of the transformation process. We are here, we know what we're talking about, but we're driving this digital transformation forward, but we need people in communities to be working with us and backing this. funding shifts, and we have seen this. It's been a tough year for all of us. I'm sure you'll agree. We've seen the impact. Well, we've seen the impact of politics on our sector. A political decision destroyed USAID. A political decision saw the collapse of international development funding in many donor countries. These are not, technical experts. These are political leaders that are making political choices and decisions, and they're affecting a whole ecosystem and landscape. Politics matters. Politics affects funding, and that funding matters as well. We need a coherent collective approach, and we need to work together. This idea that there's a lot of resources out there that we can all compete for a piece of the pie, that's no longer going to work. The new paradigm, the new way forward is to collaborate, to work together, to drive forward what we know can be an incredible journey if we do it right. The roadmap that we're proposing brings a coherent momentum to this. And allows us to work together and collaborate. It's a 5-year multi-stakeholder plan to accelerate digital transformation of health. It's designed to strengthen the enabling environment. That's critical, so that technological solutions are supported, are able to be implemented at scale and in a sustainable way. It aligns with national efforts towards achieving universal health coverage by 2030. It also aligns with global efforts that are being developed and worked on. And it provides a clear set of goals and ambitions that we can all rally around and ensure that we drive this issue forward. Now, we've been working on this for a number of months now, and we've been working for many of you, so this is not going to be new to many of you. We started with a situation and trends analysis, and we wanted to try and understand with a little bit of distance what's going on in the sector. How is all the turmoil that we've been experiencing at the beginning of the year affecting us? What are the tendencies that it's thrown into perspective, and how do we respond to these? And then what are the trends that we're seeing, the trends in technology, but the trends in politics, the trends in financing and development more generally, and how do they affect our work? The trends in technology and the kind of how has business as usual and the incentive structures within the ecosystem shaped the way we behave and we operate, both in terms of in relation to each other and in relation to our relationships with governments and the communities we serve. We launched this in September at the UNGA, and then after that we went on we drew out some of the 5 tendencies, the 5 core tendencies that were contained in that situation and trends analysis, and I'll go into a little bit more detail on that in a minute. And we developed these 5 core areas that we then have been consulting with you all on to develop the roadmap. We are here today to present that roadmap, to invite you to sign on and to participate in the process. You can see how to do that a little bit later. And we will be launching it officially on the 12th of September. This is a contribution to a wider movement on health for all around universal health coverage. We are a small part of a wider cog and a wider mission that we want to participate on. We are not a bubble, if you like. We are contributing to the lives and well-beings of populations everywhere, and to the actions and movements of different colleagues in different sectors working on health. Now, the Framing the Future report is the basis of the evidence base that we're drawing on for the roadmap. And we found that technology delivers impact, but only where the enabling environment enables that. The challenge we're facing is not a technological one, it's a political one. Digital transformation and UHC are political projects, not technical projects. We need to remember that, and that came out strongly in the analysis. Fragmentation, duplication continue to be major challenges and barriers. Sometimes they're not seen when there's a lot of donor funding in the area, and you can develop a solution at scale. But it's there, and it's present, and it's creating a lot of challenges. Regulatory and legislative gaps, weaken trust and accountability, but also create a weak incentive structure for collaboration, cooperation, scale and sustainability. We can't ignore that. We need to address that to ensure a predictable environment for all of us to operate and for business to invest and for others to bring solutions to market. Infrastructure, data standards and interoperability vary widely across countries. Some of the solutions provided out there require a lot of technical support and capacity development. We can't just assume that that would just be adopted without support and without a strong sort of backing from the government and from other stakeholders. We need to address that. Equity risks are growing as marginalized groups remain excluded from digital health benefits. And we really need to be intentional about that. Technology is agnostic, introduced in a situation where there are power differentials. It will only replicate or exacerbate those power differentials. We need to be intentional about addressing those when we consider developing technological solutions and introducing them to different contexts. Now, we conducted a number of dialogues and discussions on the main themes that form part of the roadmap. I'm not going to go into that, but I want to thank every one of you that's participated in the dialogues, that co-led these dialogues with us. You will see some of our partners here, including UNICEF, OECD, UHC 2030, PATH, Fundapi, and many, many others. So I want to thank you all for your engagement and leadership on this initiative. Now, the roadmap proposes 5 core areas, core goals for engagement. Under each goal, we have 3 ambitions, and under each ambition, we have a set of milestones that we feel we should be working towards and organizing collectively around. And that will ensure that, you know, we reduce the transaction burdens on all of us, collaborate more effectively, add value to each other, and also, importantly, add value to governments and others that are driving, that need to be driving these solutions forward. They're designed to complement and align with the WHO a global strategy on digital health. Both the existing one that's been extended to 2027 and the new one that's been developed, the 2028 to 33 one. We very much want to see that succeed, and we want to collaborate and support that. We want to support UHC 2030 framework, the Global Digital Compact and other initiatives, and really use this roadmap to drive action towards that. And it serves as a guide to governments, partners and civil society to move forward. Now, the 5 goals that I set out, one is focused on inclusive, people-centered digital health ecosystems, equity and inclusion with people at the center. The second one looks at rights-based digital health and health data governance frameworks. So what is the legislation, regulation, and policies that government need to be put in place that will govern the sector, establish the positive incentives, the negative incentives, and ensure that we all collaborate. The third one is coordinated and sustainable investment and alignment. And again, what we invest in and how we invest shapes behavior within the sector. We compete against each other if there's a lot of money on the table, and we can all apply for our solutions. If there's maybe less money, and we're encouraged by donors and others to cooperate, we will cooperate, and we will work from our position of competitive advantage in relation to within a collaborative framework. Strong governance structures and national leadership. Now here, we need governments to lead this. We need governments to own and lead the digital transformation. As I mentioned earlier, it is a political project, not a technological project. Governments need to want this, and we need to encourage their leadership and support that, rally around that, so they can set up these systems and structures to coordinate and to lead that with our support. And finally, interoperability in infrastructure and interoperable systems. So this is infrastructure standards and interoperability, something we're much more comfortable and within this space. So we want to encourage you to endorse the roadmap, to align with it, to participate in national thematic discussions. We will be reaching out to all of you. Please reach out to us to find out more about it. Please sign up to the roadmap and endorse it, and come to us on how to engage with that. Here is the code, the QR code to do that and to move this forward. Now, I've got the great pleasure to welcome is it Natasha Sundarji? You're looking at me confused, so I wonder if I should be confused about that. The Global Health and Nutrition lead at Accenture, to lead us through the next session and the panel discussion. I'd like you to put your hands together to welcome this fantastic panel and this fantastic facilitator, Natasha. Thank you.
Let's try that again. Thank you so much, Frank. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today for what I hope will be a really exciting and engaging panel. We are joined by a brilliant set of individuals who are not only leaders in digital health, they have actively contributed towards the roadmap and are going to be critical stakeholders to implementing this roadmap within their respective organizations and collaborating with you towards those 5 goals that Frank just presented. So a few introductions. First and foremost, we have Al Schifrau, the Senior Program Officer, Digital Africa at the Gates Foundation. We then have Derek Muneni, Unit Head, Capacity Building and Collaboration, Department of Digital Health and Innovation, the Science Division at WHO. That is a mouthful. We then have Caroline Mbinjo, Chief Innovation Officer at AMREF. And last but not least, we have Jean-Philbert Singamana, Chief Digital Advisor at Africa CDC. A round of applause for our panelists. Al, I'm going to start with you. Do you have a mic? Perfect. So Frank highlighted that we have 5 years left to achieve our universal health coverage goals. We are far behind our goal. Help us understand, what are the challenges that have stalled our progress towards digital transformation, and how do you see the roadmap helping us to address those challenges?
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you for the organizers for this great panel. Very happy to be here. We have it looks like a full house today. I just want to start by acknowledging the great work that Transform Health has done. I encourage everybody to go read the document. It's been quite informative to go over the different goals that Frank mentioned right before in detail. So I'd like to start by saying that technology is the closest thing we have for magic, right? Human beings love something fun and exciting, and the reason we love it is because it lets us to skip steps, it lets us to avoid prerequisites, and more importantly, what we deal often in countries is that it allows us to see solutions overnight, right? But in reality, that's not the case. And now we also have AI, who's going to make our lives even more difficult because people feel like they can just jump into technology-first type of solutions and being able to address a lot of the challenges that the health system feels. So, in going through the documents, I feel like a lot of the default that we've taken in solving solutions as with technology should take a backseat, and being able to look at into the different approaches that we have to take into in solving a problem. So I think many of you here in the room can relate to how we often go to meetings and end up with a new app just being commissioned to be developed again, technology being taken it. So the 3 things I like to highlight that has affected this goal from being achieved is we see a huge amount of fragmentation in countries doing the same work, similar applications. There should be, instead of fewer, you see a lot of them. The other thing has to do with a lot of countries are stuck, to be very frank, with products and systems that have actually reached their shelf life, or even gone above the shelf life. They don't know how to move out and transition out. Third is touches a little bit to the financing and the costing issues that we talked about with some systems. A lot of times when we think about systems, we think of it as the capital cost, not so much about the operational cost. So countries don't realize how much in trouble they are until it's too late, having procured and have onboarded systems that they cannot easily maintain. And the oddest thing is, like, now we have these issues, we try to solve it again through another technology solutions. And we need to work very hard to keep avoiding and moving away from this vicious cycle. So tying it back to the roadmap that Transform Health has offered to us is, first off, sorry, I should definitely acknowledge the great work that was done in sequencing the different goals that has been presented, starting with access to all. That makes a lot of sense, but I'm going to focus on just the two pieces, the goal number 2 and goal number 4, which are very critical for us to focus on. The first goal has to do with setting up governance frameworks and regulations that is tied to and anchored with legislations and regulations. We saw that on Wednesday from Kenya with the Digital Act. A lot of countries don't have that. Very much something that we like to see happen across multiple countries. The reason is that countries, governments change, political directions shift, and you can't have your digital systems take a hit every time there's a political environment. So if you anchor it to actual regulations and laws even, then you have an ability to withstand those changes. And secondly, on goal 4, very much associate this with having the ability to set up authorities or some form of governing bodies that can enforce those regulations. In a way, these two things are extremely linked, right? So in many countries, you don't have either, right? There's basically digital systems can just be implemented without much thought. In this case, so these two work together. So if you have a digital governance system, it's not going to help you unless you have a way to enforce it. Or if you try to enforce something, but without backing it with some type of regulations, it's not going to work either. So taking into these factors and then sequencing it the way that has been presented in the roadmap, I think countries can do a much better job in kind of getting out of the challenges that they face today. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Al. Derek, I'm going to come to you. Al just spoke about the fragmentation that we've been seeing, the short shelf life of technology, some of the financing challenges. The WHO digital strategy that has governed the way in which the WHO has operated to date has done incredible work towards addressing some of these challenges. And I think we're all excited about the next iteration of this digital strategy. How do you see this roadmap and the digital strategy really reinforcing one another to help us strengthening that enabling environment that we know is going to be critical to the digital transformation and to achieving our UHC goals?
Thank you so much for that question. And just to echo what my colleague mentioned here, we do have tremendous opportunities of fast-tracking the transformation that we're looking for. And just want to thank Transform Health for taking the lead on doing assessments around the things that need to be undertaken to really take us forward on the UHC SDG journey. It is well known that 4.5 billion people today are being left behind in terms of universal health coverage. And at WHO, with our 14th general program of work, we are working with our partners to ensure that we can ensure that our 3 principles, which is providing, protecting, and also promoting health, are integrated within action plans such as what we heard today. We're also very excited that this particular roadmap is coming at a very timely time when the UN General Assembly is meeting next month at the high-level meeting to review 10 years and 20 years of progress on the use of ICTs across sectors in line with the Geneva Action Plan of 2005. Shortly after that meeting, which by the way is being negotiated by the hosts, Kenya and Albania, we'll be launching into discussions around elements of the next global strategy on digital health. What we heard Frank present today in terms of the goals and objectives closely align with the current global strategy on digital health, which, as we have socialized this in times in the past, that strategy is our strategy. It has a place for member states, it has a place for development partners, it has a place of stakeholders, many of whom are in this room. And so as we reflect on the current strategy, we take into account the remaining challenges which the UHC roadmap has identified. Issues around governance, issues around architecture, and standards and interoperability remain some of those frontiers that we need to address. And when you read the assessment and the proposals that have been presented to us, comparing it with the current strategy on digital health, you see a tremendous alignment. The current strategy focuses on key elements that were presented, elements around capacity building, elements around governance, elements around strategies, elements around putting people first. And so what Transform Health has actually done is tremendous work that will feed into the next consultation process of the next global strategy on digital health. We look forward to engagement of all stakeholders present here. We kick off with the consultation processes in Q1 of 2026. And throughout next year until October, we look forward to presenting a very robust, comprehensive representative strategy to the WHO Executive Board in October to be voted in at the 2026 World Health Assembly. We take note that by the time we're meeting together, wherever we'll meet next year, we'll be really at the threshold of that strategy. And hopefully we can actually use the time when we next meet to really reflect on how we can collectively take this forward together. Allow me to actually talk about one more element. We're very much excited, and I was having a conversation with John Fulbert, who has been leading, was co-lead once upon a time, of the UN World Summit on the Information Society that we'll be discussing next year in New York at the UN General Assembly. We would like to also use next year, when we convene in Geneva in July, on what we can collectively do as an ecosystem to truly make the digital transformation of the health sector connect with people, establish robust, robust foundations in governments, and truly fast-track UHC. And so within that framework, there are certain pillars that we're collecting and using as a focus. One of these is around data governance, a focus on AI for health, and lastly, a focus on digital public infrastructure that will be used to inform the foundations to enable the UHC framework to actually see the light of day and to be implementable. So we're pretty excited. I mean, 2026 to 2023 to 2033 will be an exciting period. We're looking forward to a decade of transformation, really getting a handle of the transformation of the health sector using digital, and really getting a handle of UHC, and really ensuring that we can connect with people who, many of whom are not in this room, many of whom are affected by the digital interventions that we're making. And so we'd like to really work closely together, and we'll be really using the roadmap as a context, and using the Global Strategy on Digital Health, the World Summit on the Information Society, the Global Digital Compact as a basis by which we engage with all partners. So looking forward, let's work together, let's nail digital transformation down for good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Derek. I think we're all excited for 2026 now, right? Caroline, I want to pick up on one of the points that Derek made, though he made many great points. I want to pick up on the point he made around connecting to people, because this is at the heart of the kind of work that you do at AMREF. How do you see the roadmap really helping to embed some of those principles that Frank outlined around accountability, gender equality, people-centered approaches in the design, the financing, the measurement of digital transformation to ensure that that roadmap really comes to life?
So I'll start with a question for the audience. How many here are currently implementing digital health projects? Almost the whole room. And I think we are all doing this with one goal, that we want to improve health. We want to transform health in the countries, in the areas that we are working. But we don't get a chance to speak with each other about the different work that we are doing. So for me, I see this roadmap as a way to bring us together around the same language and the same goals. I think the digital health space is inherently chaotic. There's so many things that we have to know, to understand, so many different stakeholders, from governments to investors, funders, implementers, academia, researchers, etc., all doing extremely good work. But not all of us get that opportunity to speak with each other, to align with each other. So for me, I see, chaos is good. Chaos is good because it allows for experimentation, it allows for new things, it allows for discovery. But it can also enable fragmentation. It can enable misalignment. It can enable a lack of progress, a lack of forward momentum. This roadmap then brings all of us together. It's not a framework, it's not a new framework, it's just a way that we can work with each other, a way that we can all be unified, all our efforts can be unified. It can help us to understand where are the gaps and how do we address those gaps together. It can help us to understand who is responsible for what so that we can have accountability. It can help us to share our goals, to reduce the duplication that we very often see when we come to meetings like this and you're presenting on your solution and you go to the next room and somebody else is presenting on exactly the same solution. That is a potential waste of resources. How do we collaborate better? It can help us to strengthen governance, to understand what does governance need to look like in context, because governance is very contextual. Yeah, what do the people value, and how can governance take that into consideration as we are building models? How do we complement the work of organizations such as the WHO, such as Africa CDC? And because we are talking about a global roadmap, how do we look at other organizations who may not be in the continent of Africa, who may be in Asia and Latin America? And how do we align our efforts? Because the things that we learn in one area can complement work in many different contexts. So I feel the roadmap is a way to answer certain questions. How do we move forward together? How must we act? What must change so that we can bring coherence into this space and move towards progress?
Wonderful. Phil, I'm coming to you, and I want to build on a couple of the points that Carolyn mentioned, this idea of aligning our efforts. If I can quote you, bringing us together around the same language and same goals. How do you see this happening within your own institution of Africa CDC? Where do you see the organization really aligning around the goals outlined in the roadmap, and how do you see yourself utilizing this in your own next steps?
Thank you so much, good afternoon, everyone. I want to do a health check to see whether we're still awake. Yeah, so first of all, congratulations to Transform Health for this milestone. I was part of the discussion at UNGA in New York when this conversation was held. And when I got the invitation to speak today, I said, okay, easy, I'll just repeat what I said then. But speaking last, everybody else has stolen all my points. Okay? But I think the question of having a common language and a common goal, I think it's really important because it has a way of focusing our energies. And it has a way of breaking the predicament of fragmentation that everybody else has talked about, and silo effects, and then the fact that we lose the forward momentum, as Carolyn just said. So I'm going to propose 4 things that I think can help us rally around this UHC agenda with some concrete measurements of progress. So, and those will be summarized in four I's. The first I is infrastructure. I think we can talk about, there is no question in anyone's mind in this room that the only way we are going to reach UHC, especially in resource-constrained countries, is by leveraging to the maximum digital. But we cannot talk about digital if we are not even connected. So 100,000 facilities on this continent remain unconnected. Same situation in Latin America, Asia, in some places, in many places where we experience the same challenges. So 2 million community health workers remain offline. I think we need to rally around and say we need to close this gap. And it's just that about, powering and connecting to the internet, the facility is also about the devices, but also about the cloud infrastructure, that needs to store the data that we are going to start collecting. It's about the DPI, the digital public infrastructure. It's about also the digital ID and the payment rails that need to be in place. And it's possible we can get there if we say, let's rally around this one big topic called infrastructure, and these are the targets. And every one of us, those who raise their hands to say, I'm implementing a digital health project, tell us how much you are adding to that goal. Let's not go left or right. Let's all point our arrows in the same direction and build. It's like building a cathedral or a mosque. Bring your brick that is tailored to the size of what is needed to advance the building. That's number one. Number two is about innovation. There is a lot of energy that is coming out of our ecosystems, but that energy, I don't think we are able to harness it to the maximum. The fact that there is no way people talk to each other, the governments, the innovators, the entrepreneurs, the academia, the investors, and the corporates, the private sector, I think we can do a big job in strengthening those ecosystems. But then the output of those innovations, the solutions that we create, I think governments have this amazing superpower of putting them onto a fast path to scale by adopting health tech innovations much faster. So let's find a way of mainstreaming health tech innovations into public health delivery systems as opposed to sidelining them. So I think that's one way we can do. And on this point, Africa CDC last year, we announced and launched a health tech marketplace to select those innovations that are most viable and then present them, de-risk the conversation that they are trying to have with governments so that they can be adopted much, much faster. So that's second I. The third I is about investment. To be able to get to that, we need money. If you look at the amounts of money that are flowing into the health tech sector in Africa, it's nearly not enough to meet our ambition. We want to really double click on what makes investors fear to invest in our startups. Why are our own funds in Africa? There is a lot of domestic dry powder that is going into building, houses and other hard infrastructure, not flowing into health tech. So I know this is a question that makes most of us spend sleepless nights, including you, Caroline. Why is it that we don't have a single health tech unicorn on this continent? So we know part of it is capacity, training, part of it is the governance, the data governance, the regulation, the policies. But I think we need to do a lot more to present a higher playing field to our innovators to de-risk the innovations. So I see the moderator. You want me to give the last I? But I want
you to give the last I.
Let's elevate this conversation at the presidential level. I think to be able to build all of this, it's more than one sector. It's more than the Ministry of Health. It's a cooperation between ministries of health, ministries of IT, ministries of finance, ministries of even local government and local administration, because the ID belongs to them. Let's elevate this agenda and attempt to do what Kenya is doing, which is building a national digital health superhighway and crowding investment, external investment, and that's the last I. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
I love those eyes. And let me just say thank you to each and every one of you on this panel for your time today, for the contributions you made to the roadmap itself, and for the great work and contributions I know you will make in the years to come to really bring this roadmap to life. So a round of applause for our panelists, please. With that, let me turn it back to Frank to introduce our next speaker.
Hello?
I'm very sorry. I'd like to introduce Pauline, a youth representative from Kenya, Pauline Omoto, who's the Health and Rights Program coordinator here for Kalin in Kenya, and the Transform Health coordinator for the coalition here. Pauline, over to you for some reflections from a young person's perspective on what we're doing here today.
I realize I'm very short, so let me move back a bit. So what a lineup, honestly. Maybe just another round of applause to the speakers. And then we're pointing forward. Point forward, point back. When I say health for all, health for all, you're going to say in the digital age. Health for all? So I was fortunate, or maybe unfortunate, to grow up with parents who are doctors, and there was a time we did, I was not feeling well, and I decided to Google my symptoms, and I just went to them and started thinking, oh my God, I'm dying. And my mom just told me, Pauline, honestly, you're dehydrated. So, so I share this story because in that moment I realized two things. Number one, Google is not supposed to be my doctor, to be honest. But then the second thing I also realized is that if we're going to live in an environment where digital health is going to shape how the future is going to look like, we have to make sure that people, such as myself, who want information, need to be able to access it, need to be able to make smart decisions, but they may also need to be, gently protected so that you don't end up diagnosing yourself with diseases in medical journals from 1992 like me. So I just want to look back at the panel that we had in front here, looking at Transform Health, Rwanda's Ministry of Health, we had WHO, Africa CDC, and just think about the concept of this roadmap to 2030. And it's not just about the systems, not just about the strategies, but one of the panels talked about, it's about making sure that people are at the center of this. Not just looking at people in terms of young people as I stand here today representing the young generation, but also let's have a conversation about women, about persons with disabilities, marginalized groups. All these people need to be part of this conversation. And if we're also being honest, if we're talking about health for all by 2030, we also have to look at some of the things that have been talked about, investments, and that spirit of collaboration. And collaboration includes having young people and all these groups being at the forefront and also being part of the process of deciding and coming up with interventions to ensure that we have solutions that are inclusive for all. We are a generation that lives online most of the time, to be honest, me, myself included. I don't want to go and do an evaluation of how long I spend online. But we are also a ready partner. We have seen the number of people in this room, and I know there are a number of young people in this room who are all implementing digital projects and are also considered young people. We are already in this process, so we're not starting from scratch. So as we move forward, taking the information and all the insights that we've been given from this extraordinary panel, who, to be honest, I think will need a second brain to process all that information. It was very valuable. We're looking forward to a future where we can be able to get to 2030 and all and the interventions we've designed are inclusive of everyone. So this is my call to action. Point forward. Let's look to the future. Point back. We remember the progress we've made, and health for all. Health for all. Guys, please, you're young at heart, yes? Health for all. The question is how. We need to be co-creators in this process. We need to invest in digital health. And lastly, we need to share this collective vision to have a unified direction towards the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pauline. It's now my great pleasure to invite Dr. Mohamed Semakula, former Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Health in Rwanda. Dr. Semakula is a statistician, a data scientist, and a senior health leader with extensive experience in evidence-based policymaking and system strengthening and digital transformation. Dr. Semakula, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. dear participants, it's my pleasure to be in front of you talking about digital, but also sharing experience of Rwanda to see if we are trying to respond to some of the questions that people are taking, but also learning from what others are saying. So I'll start by giving an example of what we have been doing in Rwanda, then I'll provide also my remarks after this. So the Ministry of Health Rwanda, in April, we launched what we call National Health Intelligence Center. In fact, this National Health Intelligence Center, this is just one part of the National Health Intelligence Center that you are seeing here, but it actually came in to resolve some of the issues and questions that we are having. The issue of the governance, the issue of infrastructure, the issue of using innovation, digital, AI, and so on. But also, most importantly, offering a decision based to the Ministry of Health, as well as to drive all the interventions that are evidence-based driven. The third was to monitor the performance. After all, we're here to serve the population, and we need to make sure that the population, they get the services that they deserve. When we talk services in health, we mean saving lives. All our work are centered to save lives. There is individuals that need our services. They need this digital system to contribute in terms of saving lives. And sometimes it's opposite on the way we innovators, we are looking systems and not linking it with service delivery. And that is a big mistake. We should first look on the service delivery and bring a digital system to solve the problem that we have in hand. That's will drive innovation, and that's why the National Health Intelligence Center is in place. But because of the leadership, ownership in terms of digitalization, they created this National Health Intelligence Center that I was lucky to be part of the initiative. But the way it's structured according to the health sector structure. Within the Ministry of Health, there is implementing agents. One of them is Rwanda Biomedical Center. Rwanda Biomedical Center is a kind of CDC or those public health institutions that are reading the programs like malaria, HIV, and so on. That's one. The National Health Intelligence Center provide them with evidence to the senior management for taking decision, but monitor as well as predicting the diseases in terms of preventing for the outbreak. And then there is also some researches that BIPA are conducting. Before it was not that. Each unity and each department were responsible on its digitalization and decision making. But bringing it at National Health Intelligence Center contributed to streamline and also to ensure a real-time decision making and the use of the evidence and increase the accountability at all levels. There's a Rwanda Medical Supply, the same, which is in charge of providing supply and so on. As well, the National Health Intelligence Center is contributing on their decision, predicting the demand, and also forecast the need across the health sector. Rwanda Food and the Drug, they also contribute. The data that we are getting, the analysis we are doing, are contributing on support on inspection of drug and medicine, and so on, but also assure the surveillance for the security and so on. There is facilities. The facilities are also under Ministry of Health Direct, and they also need those data that we are using for service delivery. How do they improve their services on their basis? So this National Health Intelligence Center, it's contribute to bring a very comprehensive and robust system that provides services at each level of the government system. And that is how the idea came in. But then, there is a very important element that needs to be fixed. People have been talking about the infrastructure, talking about the digital system. The AI will only be relevant if it sits in data systems that are really strong and structured. not fragmented, not paper-based, not ungoverned systems. And therefore, what Rwanda did in terms of digitalizing our health system, we looked at it in a robust way, where we said, instead of fixing or providing a solution for a particular problem, why don't we use the patient pathway approach? The patient is coming from the community. What do we do in the community? In the community, we do have services, the community health workers. And we find that in we used to have multiple systems of the community health workers. We said, no, let's have one system that is for the community health workers, and then we can add modules for any intervention and the program coming in. And that's one brought very clarity in terms of the services that are being offered at the community level, and can be also important in terms of providing advice to them on what they are doing, but having oversight on what is going on in the community, which is also informative in terms of outbreak forecasting and the prevention. Because when you see the diseases that community health workers are treating, then you can suspect what is going to happen and then anticipate. When you go up, we do have on the primary health care a system called e-Uzima, which is the main electronic medical record across all different facilities that we are having. We have health posts, health centers, and medicalized health centers, all of them. And then it's also very important that the services that are offered at the community level can be seen at the primary health care. That's one brings efficiency and also overview of what the community did to that particular individuals. Because in Rwanda, the community health workers, some of them, they do treat, like malaria, 70% of the children is treated by the community health workers. So you need to have that historical. So the system in the community is interoperable with the system in the primary health care. So they can see this particular patient got services in the community, this is the treatment and diagnostics and so on. And that's one give much confidence a doctor who received that particular patient to know the history. And you go up at the secondary health care, we have also the same system called e-Uzima, but specifically for the secondary health care. And also is the same. There is interoperability between the levels and the information that's from the community, primary health care, secondary, until to the tertiary. So all those data, they came direct to the National Health Intelligence Center through API. And then at the National Intelligence Center, they can do different things, analysis, prediction, also providing other services. In addition to those primary to care systems that we're having, we do have the apps like e-Uzima app for the individual data that people are using, as well as integration of the insurance portal. Because in Rwanda, more than 97% of citizens, they are using health insurance. Therefore, it's much easier to have the interoperability between the insurance systems as well as our healthcare system to facilitate the fund, because it used to take more than 6 months when there is a claim from health facilities to insurance companies to pay them. But now with this interoperability of the insurance portal, then they can pay on time and so on, so that the health facilities, they don't run out of the cash and for the operations and so on. In addition to those data that comes to the Health Intelligence Center, there's some other data that's a routine data for CRVS, REDCap, the health financing data. We are able to visualize the health financing data from health centers, from hospitals, and so on. And that's very important in terms of decision making and allocation of resources. In addition to that, some of the other surveys, population data are also integrated in Health Intelligence Center. So Health Intelligence Center has become a center for all the health data and the system in one place. When you look on how the data sources and ecosystems are, whatever you're seeing there, those are different data that we are having at national level. And then the color, there are data that we are already injected in the system. As I mentioned, it's a progress in work. The red one are the one that we are orange, it's one ongoing for discovery. And then the gray, those are the data that we are going to focus on in next phases. So we believe that if all those data are injected, we'll be having a 360 view of what is going on in health sector and having all the informations that are needed for a decision making. But then, how our architecture is built. So our architecture is built in a more systematic way. So we do have 3 layers that are very important. We have a bronze layer, silver layer, and a gold layer. So the bronze layer, only a few people can access it because it has the raw data. Only certified people can access those information. And then the silver one is where we have done normalization and the modeling and so on. And the gold layer, that's where the analytics starts and so on. And then the last phase is for visualization and the sharing for all the users across. So the current situation now when we're looking, this helped us in terms of predicting, taking the right decisions. And this was in comparison of the previous, the 4 metrics, the speed, data decision, data collection, and the collaboration and integration. And at each layer, we had important decision. So the last one that I'm talking about is about the AI lab, because I had so many people talking about AI and how we are doing it. We have already a clear vision as a Rwanda, where we are positioning our national NHIC lab AI, but also with the core objectives that I'm not going to read. I want just to talk about the 4 pillars that are very important. Infrastructure, AI, research and development, and the talent incubator, and the validation evaluation. It's very important because we don't want to see ourselves only consuming, but also we should contribute on producing. So those 4 pillars are our pillar and are important. Another element, I'm seeing the evaluation, because most of people coming, they came with a project for AI, and they want to implement. But then you need to understand if it's not well governed, who's going to be responsible for errors that can come up. Any decisions that are based on a computer, who's going to be responsible? The governance should bear and the ownership. That's why we have put in place a validation framework that is very clear for us. So there are maturity levels that we have put in place, from discoveries to a solution to scaling up. And we work with private companies because we saw that the government cannot hire all the technical skills, but we have the startups in. And our startups, we rank them into 3 categories: gold, silver, and bronze. Those in gold, they work with us within NHIS. They are embedded in NHIS, and we produce solutions, and those solutions we can scale up at national level, but also sharing with some other colleagues that normally visit our country to share those. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you. So thank you very much. I think I took much time, but
okay.
Thank you.
Another quick round of applause for our fantastic speaker here.